So what this means for us practically as musicians is we can load in way more plugins and just make our projects super complex so we don't even know what the plugins are doing half the time. Hello, I just put out a video about the new M1 Pro and M1 Max equipped MacBook Pros, and I wanted to make a follow-up video to that one. In that one I mainly talked about why those computers are good for producers when it comes to working on the go. And in this video I want to get more detailed and talk about the 8 specific features that these new MacBook Pros have that are specifically tailored to music producers. 8 features that will greatly improve the life of music producers. I'm going to split it in half. The first 4 are going to be more targeted to when you're in the studio environment. And then the second 4, I'm going to talk about features that are more tailored to when you're on the go and you're just using the laptop alone. But first, take a look at this. Let's start out by talking about the first 4 features of why we should be excited as musicians and music makers when it comes to these new MacBook Pros. So these first 4 features are related to when you're docked up, hooked up to your screen, your monitors, you're in your studio environment, ready to bust out a 6 or 8 hour session of music making and jamming. Let's start out by talking about all of the monitor support. And by monitors, I mean screens. So with the M1 Pro, you're able to hook up to 2 screens, which is an improvement from 1 when it comes to M1 chipped computers. And when it comes to the M1 Max, you're able to hook up to 4. Although they say it's only 3 if it's the Apple monitors and then an additional 4th one. But I mean, who can afford even 1 of their screens? This would be great for me. I'm currently just using 1 monitor plus my laptop screen, which is tiny and off to the side. And so if I got these laptops, I would definitely use both of the screens. It would be a huge improvement in my life and my quality of life. Second, and this is something that we're all very surprised about and very excited about, is the additional port support. And actually going forward in one way, but going back in another way, we're getting all of these ports back. So there's 3 Thunderbolt 4 ports. You can hook up your audio interface, you can hook up a MIDI controller, you can hook up a screen. Then you can also use an HDMI port to hook up another screen. There's an SD card slot if you do photography or film. There's the headphone jack that now supports high impedance headphones. Yeah, I don't think a lot of us will need dongles anymore, at least if we have more minimalist setups when it comes to music making. We're just able to plug everything in we need and get to work, no mess, cleaner desk situations. Okay, now let's talk about the important thing, and that is the processor speed of these computers. So you can now go up to 10 cores, I think it's 8 high performance cores and 2 high efficiency cores. And so this just means you're gonna get a lot of power out of these. So Apple did their own tests when it comes to their processors, and they show these up on the website so you can take a look yourself. But when it comes to CPU performance, they tested out Logic Pro and how many Amp Designer plugins they can load up before the processor goes kaput. So they compared it against the quad-core Intel Core i7 13-inch MacBook Pro and the 8-core Intel Core i9 16-inch MacBook Pro. So that was the one from 2019 that was amazing when it came out, and it still is a capable computer. And what they found is for that 16-inch MacBook Pro, you're able to load 1.7 times more of these plugins than the new 10-core either M1 Max or M1 Pro computers. And then when you're comparing it to the quad-core Intel i7 machine, you're able to load 3 times more of these Amp Designer plugins. So what this means for us practically as musicians is we can load in way more plugins and just make our projects super complex so we don't even know what the plugins are doing half the time. But hey, we have the capability now of loading way more plugins, at least according to Apple's own internal testing. Finally, let's talk about something that might not have been getting as much attention, and that is the new SSDs and storage speed with these laptops. These things get 7.4 gigabytes per second read-write speeds. That's just absolutely insane. Maybe I'm missing something, but my 2020 M1 MacBook Air was tested when it first came out, and it was around 2.2 gigabytes per second write and 2.7 gigabytes per second read speed. And that was like a doubling of the speeds from the previous generation of MacBook Air. So we're getting just astronomically higher speeds when it comes to our storage. Now, what does this mean for us producers? Well, it means all of our applications open up faster, the DAW open up faster, projects open up faster, but it also means our libraries and our sample packs will load a lot faster within the projects. So once again, with the CPU combined with the storage, we're gonna have snappy, quick workflows on these new MacBook Pros. Now let's talk about 4 of the mobile features for these laptops. Okay, now let's talk about the 4 other features when it comes to these MacBook Pros and music production, specifically related to mobile music production. So the first 2 of these I already mentioned in the previous video, but they are the high impedance headphone jack. So you're now able to hook up high impedance, professional quality headphones, and the computer will recognize that and will adapt so that it's powering your headphones correctly. So you're gonna get louder sounds in your headphone and a lower noise floor. The other thing is the improved screens. So you have high dynamic range, and most importantly, you have more screen real estate to work with. So you either have 14 inches on the small side, which is still pretty large, or you have 16 inches on the larger one. And that's a size where you can actually work and feel comfortable on the go in your DAW. They are bulkier computers though. I mean, I think the 16-inch is like 5.5 pounds. So you're gonna be lugging around a dumbbell with that. But you know, you get a larger screen and you're able to work wherever you want. Now, the other 2 features are, first, the battery life. So these things, they're saying they get 20 hours of video playback time, I believe. And that's just insane. Let me take a look at the actual number. Yeah, they're saying you get 17 hours of video playback on the 14-inch model and 21 hours on the 16-inch. And then when it comes to wireless web browsing, you get 11 hours versus 14 hours. Now, I think for working in a DAW, you would probably get maybe a quarter of this performance. So say instead of 21 hours of video, you would get like 6 hours or 5 hours of music production. But that's still really amazing. There's not many times that you have longer than a 5 or 6 hours session straight when you're at the coffee shop or when you're on an airplane. And finally, this is the sneaky feature that not too many people are talking about, the full-size function row on the keyboard. So this is great if you are using keyboard shortcuts in your DAW. You're able to have full-size keys that you can work with, and you can have a speedy flow where you're not accidentally missing the keys and screwing up. All right, well, that is all for this video. I am enjoying this lovely evening that was supposed to be downpouring here in Bellevue. And actually, I think I'm in Redmond now. I'm kind of on the edge, but it's a nice evening. I'm gonna finish off this stroll, finish off this video, and put it out to you guys. Stay tuned for more content in the coming days. I appreciate you all, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.